Hey folks, it's your boy Strat and today we'll be taking a look at the top 5 best economy simulator game. Let's start off with number 5, and whenever you hear the term economy simulator, there's probably one series that pops off to your mind, and it will be the Capitalism series. It takes you in the boots of a capitalist trying to exploit the resources from the natural land into factories to transform them into consumer products. You also have an entire aspect of real estate for commercial, residential, everything. The only goal of the game is to make money with whatever you have on hand. So that's why it is a great example of an economy simulator. But there are some issues with the game. First of all is you should be playing Capitalism Lab, which is the third version of the game, but it is not available on Steam. It's only available through the website, so that's already complicated enough. The worst is that this Capitalism Lab is actually just like a expanded upon version of Capitalism 2, which is already a 20-year-old game. So whenever you get into it, you will have the graphic user interface, the graphics in general dating from over 20 years ago already. So that's not a good launch for a game. If you play Capitalism in the past, it's not so hard, but when you start 20 years later, it's kind of hard to get into it. But just playing around will allow you to get your bearings set straight, and you'll be able to enjoy the economy aspect of the game. And that is why Capitalism Lab made it to the list of top 5 best economy simulator games. And position number 4. It is one of my all-time favorite game, and I think the economy aspect of it is incredible. And of course, I'm talking about Victoria 2. In Victoria 2, you manage a country throughout the 1836 to 1936 period, so basically Victorian era. You will have the reign of the industrialization of your country, so you will have to go and conquer colonies to acquire basic resources, and then you will bring them back home where you'll be able to transform them into proper goods for consumption, or more likely more military expenses. It still is a grand strategy game, so it's not so much an economy management game like we will see in the rest of the list, but it's still very, very intertwined with that economy aspect and how you will lead the country, how you'll manage your budget, how you'll build your armies and everything. So that's why I think it deserves to be in the list. And now we're gonna delve into actual real economy management. Well, kind of. At position number 3, I've decided to put in Gearcity. Now, Gearcity is a simple game when you stop and think about it. I had a few examples in the past. For example, Detroit was a game released in the 90s that is essentially the same but much more simple. Gearcity expanded on a lot of it. The general premise of the game is that you will be a car company starting anywhere from 1900 to today, and you will have to design car parts, car engine, gearbox, chassis, car models, or you can also just buy parts pre-made from other manufacturer, or you can license out designs that you can craft yourself, or you can even just design stuff and license it out. There are a lot of ways to make money, and there's also a very, very vast stock market that is available, although it only touches car companies. But it's still interesting aspect that is brought into the game that we usually don't see that much in different games. This one, it is, although a game that is centered around spreadsheeting, right? Don't go into this game thinking you'll be designing the best looking vehicle, because while yes, you have the possibility to craft magnificent vehicles with perfect engines, most of the core gameplay mechanics loops will be set into making sure you make profit, which it's it's what made it to the list of best economy simulation games. But still, with the different designs you'll make, you will answer different needs for your customer, and you can even go and contract out engines and trucks to militaries throughout the world, because if you didn't know, the 20th century, there was a lot of military stuff going on. I'm not sure why. And if you make the wrong decision of setting your industry in, let's say, Germany, well, you're gonna get shot down a couple of times from bombs and stuff like that. So you gotta be careful, and you gotta be managing your company to the best you can. And that's why I think Gearcity deserves the third spot in this list. Now, in position number 2, I wasn't sure if I was even gonna put this game, my top 5 best economy simulation games, but there are some aspect of it that makes it incredibly good, in that I think it deserves a spot, even though it lacks a lot in other fields. And this game will be Lord of the Realm 1. Now, you're thinking, what? Wait. Lord of the Realm, isn't that like a real-time strategy castle building game? And yes, you'd be right, that's exactly what it is. But there is an important economy aspect to the game. Because you see, whenever you have people working in your realm, you will have 4 seasons per year. And during these seasons, you have to shift your peasantries around so they don't do nothing. And you try and get them to be as productive and as active as possible. So in spring, you will need a lot of manpower to go into the field to sow and turn the land and make it into something wonderful for the next harvesting season. And when you get into fall, well, you got the harvesting season on hand, so you will need a lot of manpower to be able to deal with taking up and filling the bushels with your harvest to make sure you don't starve for the next year. And in the meantime, you will also need to manage your farms with sheep, with goats, with cows, with whatever else. I don't remember really what you need to put in there. But you will have to shift your economy around, and you will need to deal with taxation, to purchase stuff, to build an army, to conquer your neighbors. And also, I think an interesting aspect of the game, you can build your castle a la Stronghold, but back in 10 years before Stronghold even became something somebody even knew about. So that's why I think Lord of the Realm 1 deserves a nice little spot in the top 5 best economy simulation games. And finally, at position number 1, I don't think it will be a surprise to many people. It's another one of my all-time favorite games, and of course I'm talking about Railroad Tycoon 3. Railroad Tycoon 3 to me is the best simulation for economy that has ever been put forward. Yes, I understand. It seems like it's mostly a train game when you think about it. You look at the name, you look at the previous games, you say, yeah, well, I'm just gonna move stuff around on a train. And while you are accurate, you also need to consider the larger aspect of the whole game. So while yes, you carry stuff around, where does that stuff come from? Of course, it comes from factories and mines and lumber mills and farms. So you will have the possibility to purchase these or even lay them down in the perfect spot to make sure that your economy is rolling well, and that you can use your trains to transport the goods to whatever destination they have or to whatever end user needs it. And that's all well and swell. But I think what makes this game the best economy management is the Tycoonator, they're called in this game. And basically, if you don't want to service a certain area of the game by delivering resources from point A to point B, the Tycoonator will take that in charge. They will move throughout the map the basic resources to the transformation factories, from the factories then to the final consumer. And this is incredible when you think about it, that the entire economy system doesn't even need your input to be functional in the map you're playing. And even better than that, that adds to the economy simulation game is the entirety of the stock market, right? Let me tell you something. I've played this game, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've got squeezed out, a short squeeze, man. I lost everything many times. You play for an hour on the map, and then all of a sudden, boom, rogue wave of losing values, or even worse, if you're shorting your enemy. Let's hope they don't strike gold, because you're gonna be crying whenever the margin call calls in, right? When your broker calls you for the margin call, they'll tell you, buddy, you got a month. You got a month to find money. You owe me 10K, you got a month. Which, it should not be too complicated, because you have your personal wealth, you have the company wealth, and you're playing with the action. You're playing on the stock market with your personal wealth, so it seems like it will be simple to use the money and scam yourself and get embroiled into some embezzlement, but it's not, right? You need to find a way to get richer on your own while making sure that all people who have parts of your company in action agree with that, without losing money to the investor by increasing dividend or increasing your own pay. It's all different little complicated aspect you need to take into account before you can actually get out of that famous margin call that's calling in. But it turns out most of the time, whenever you get a margin call, either you're going too fast in time to realize the implication of what's going on, or you're just not able to solve the issue by pumping up your own price, by pumping up your own company's stock price, so your own stock goes up and you get more margin to avoid the call, and you get into the death spiral where your broker will decide, okay, you can't pay, you don't have the margin power, we're gonna sell off everything you have. Well, not everything. We'll sell off until we get back in the green. Problem is, as they sell off, the stock price plummets, and they sell off more and more and more, and it keeps plummeting, and you end up broke with a huge debt to your broker and absolutely nothing to show up for. So you gotta be very careful in this game. That's why I think it deserves the first spot in top 5 economy simulation game. Now, I am convinced I've missed the perfect economy simulation game. And not only that I'm convinced of that, I'm even more convinced that you know about the best economy simulation game. Let me know, what would be your top 1 best economy simulation game in existence? I'm really curious to see. Maybe you'll make me discover a great game I've never even heard about before. But this has been Strat Joe. Hopefully you've enjoyed this quick top 5 best economy simulation games. And if you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.